What up folks, this is Afton here, and I want to make my full review on the SNG right now, Strider SNG. And I had make my initial impression video like 6 weeks ago, and ever since then I've been carrying this knife exclusively every single day of these 6 weeks. So if you haven't seen my initial review, check it out before this one, because I feel like it was a kind of a good introduction, considering that I had the knife for about 2 days. I've already said that at the time that it was kind of a mysterious knife for me, and it was actually really hard to evaluate, so that's why it took me 6 weeks instead of 4 or 5, like I said on my initial vid. So my first video about this guy, I mainly complained about the poor quality control. Just to remind you, I had this screw here that was really loose, and the blade centering is not perfect. It's nice, but it's not perfect. The logo has been engraved twice, and you really can't see it right now, but check the macro view that I did. That added to the fact that Strider doesn't give you a box, neither a birthday certificate, which doesn't really bother me, you know, but you know, they don't even give you the tool for the pivot, whereas they are the only one using that type of pivot. So hopefully it was tight enough, but you know, Chris Reeve gives you the damn tool, and they are just classic Allen screws, so I don't know why Strider doesn't make the same. So you know, I was kind of focused on the little defaults and kind of pissed off at the same time, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep it a month, make my review and sell it or trade it, you know. But I've changed my mind ever since, and I have read all the frequently asked questions on bluelinegear.com, and you have like 70 questions, and then the answers from MixRider himself, and I'll put the link below, so check it out. It's very informative, and throughout his answer you quickly understand that the whole message, the whole philosophy of this company is it's kind of like stop looking at our knives like work of art, you know, stop putting our knives under a microscope, like, you know, we don't make knives for artists, you know, so stop whining because of that 1/4 millimeter off center blade. Just use the damn thing, and then dare tell us that it's not good enough, you know. And I haven't really been able to tell if it's the true and sincere conception of the brand, or if it's just kind of a mental trick to make a poor quality control look cool, you know, especially among hardcore Strider fans. Because this knife costs me $600, you know, it was $475 for the knife, but if you add the shipping and the custom taxes, the total was like $600, and I'm not really willing to accept any default for a knife of that price, you know. So even with MixRider's blabbering, I still believe that this is a big downside of the brand. I mean, the quality control, you know. So yeah, enough said about the quality control. You get the point. Let's talk about the lock. The first week the lock was really stiff, and you saw this in my first video. I couldn't even open it with one hand because you have this break-in period, and I was afraid that after this period everything will loosen up a little bit, including the fantastic cloth retention and the tightness of the lock, which hasn't been the case. So you see right now I can easily manipulate it with one hand. The lock is smooth, but the close retention is still fantastic, still as good as the beginning, you know, and the lock is still very tight, as tight as it was at the beginning also. So these two criteria haven't moved from a hair, you know. It's a very good point here. Another thing is that I thought it was going to be really hard to carry, and actually it is pretty bulky in the pocket. It's more of a pocket hog than a military, for example, even though it's not really what you can call a big knife here. This is the military. You see, it's much bigger. But I was kind of surprised, you know, because it's actually really discreet. So I have been clipping it to my pocket even at work because, well, first this TI side is pretty dark, and the screws are coated in black, as you can see. So there is no shiny spots like there is on the military. You know, for example, here you have some shiny spots here that like catching your eye. Not the case on this one. So it sticks out a little bit, but still really discreet. You know, I was very surprised. Talking about the pocket clip, it will tear up your pocket, although I didn't think it was gonna be a problem because the TI side is totally slick, and so is the G10 side on this version. And the clip does not seem overly tight, you know, but it actually is. You know, it's strongly attached to your pocket, and you're sure you're not gonna lose the knife, but it's quite aggressive for the seam of it, and just be aware of that. About the handle, the ergonomics are very good, and this is the conceal carry version, so it's pretty slick, and it hasn't been a problem at all because the knife is so ergonomic that you don't need a grippy texture to prevent any slipping. It's like on the UK pen knife, you know, it's just designed in a way that your hand is literally locked on the knife, and you know, grippy or not, it really doesn't matter because your hand cannot slip anyway. In other reviews that I've seen, some people also complain about this angle here, say that when you grip hard on the knife, this is a hot spot, which is uncomfortable here. It's hitting the palm of your hand, and maybe it's the case on the regular version, and I can't tell, I've never tried one, but on the CC version everything is rounded and smoothed out, and you know, even when pushing hard on the knife, I never felt this angle here was uncomfortable. So let's skip to the blade. Yeah, first thing, the edges here where the edges of the opening hole were really sharp out of box. Not box, because there's no box, but at the beginning, I mean brand new, if you want to say. So I took my coarse rod from my Spyderco sharp maker and I smoothed it out, and during the process I accidentally slipped and made this tiny scuff here. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, with the lighting you can. No big deal, you know, it's a user. I don't buy knives to keep them, and even though it was kind of silly, it doesn't really matter. Love the stonewash finish, by the way. Clearly my favorite finish on blade. I love it. The sharpness out of box was great, and according to Strider the edge is 20 degrees on each side, which is a total of 40 degrees for the whole edge. The truth is that, well, at least it's the case on mine, don't know how it is on the other, but you indeed have 20 degrees per side, but the 2 or 2.5 centimeters towards the tip, this portion here doesn't have the same angle. Here it's more like 25 or maybe even more, like 27, or I don't know. So it's too obtuse, you know, and the tip does not cut as well as the straight portion here. So I'm not gonna reprofile the blade currently because I don't have the diamond stones, but I sharpened the edge at 20 degrees on each side, so eventually with the time this part will be at the same angle at the rest, as the rest, sorry. What else? Yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that the blade is S30V, and the heat treatment is different than Spyderco's S30V, so it is actually way harder. Edge retention is quite phenomenal. I cut big chunks of cardboard for like 10 minutes non-stop, and it was still razor sharp after that. But I had seen on several reviews that it was really hard to resharpen, so don't let the edge get dull. I sharpened it quickly 2 or 3 times in 6 weeks, which is really reasonable, and it's enough to keep a razor edge. So as long as you're not letting the blade deteriorate, the sharpening is not really a problem if you take care of it, you know. So the only problem that I see with this blade is that it's actually a little thick, you know. The grind is I mean, the grind and the spine are too thick for me, so you're definitely winning some solidity here, but you're also losing some slicing capabilities. And you know, maybe that's the whole I don't know if problem really fits my idea here, but you know, this knife is overbuilt. I mean, that's a fact. You got this incredibly big pivot, these 3 beefy screws here, the really thick blade, almost like a pry bar, you know, and this really tough titanium lock here. And it's fine, you know. I mean, the more resistant it is, the better it is. Well, actually it's not. I don't want to speculate on percentages, but for most of us this knife is an EDC knife meant to realize EDC tasks. So nobody needs such a solidity. There's maybe like 0.01% of the owners that really use the knife really hard and that can appreciate this extra strength. Like, I don't know, you're a soldier and it's your own knife and you're breaking doors all day, you know. I don't know with that. But for me, I just don't need it, you know. And that's, in my opinion, the best thing that this knife can offer, is this fantastic strength. But the truth is that Strider sacrificed a bit of slicing capabilities to the advantage of a better strength. And you know, just in comparison with the Melee here again, this is clearly less solid than the SNG, you know. These tiny little screws, the fine tip, etc., you know the whole story. But it's a better slicer than the SNG. And the question is, what do I prefer? Strength versus slicing, you know. What do I need? I don't need strength, you know. I just want my knife to, my knife and my lock to be reliable for safety concerns. But I prefer sacrificing some strength in order to increase the slicing capability. And this is the definition of the military, my example. What I mean is that the best thing that this knife offers, according to me, which is the strength, is a factor that I don't really care about. Because when I really need a strong knife for a hike and making foolish stuff with my knives in the wood, then I just get a fixed blade, you know, like my my RC4, for example, SC4. And I would never push my SNG to the point where its extra solidity would be useful, you know, considering that another blade would have break at this point. I hope you can understand what I mean. Another subject right now, is the SNG worth the money? And I can't really give you a precise answer to that, and that's probably the whole concept of luxury industries. They sell you products that you don't need. I mean, nobody needs a 500,000 euros car, like nobody needs a 1,000 euros pair of shoes, and clearly nobody needs 350 euros knife. So, you know, with all these luxury knives, you can't really talk about value because, truth be told, it won't do anything that my grip challenge cannot, sorry. So, you know, it's just a pleasure to own and use one, and in a sense it makes me happy, so I just say that happiness has no price, probably. But I would say the SNG is overpriced though, only because of the poor quality control. Because I think that you can pretend selling luxury products and then sell some products that have minor defaults. You know, luxury doesn't match with defaults. And yeah, so alright guys, so that was kind of a long review here, but that's my opinion on the SNG, which is a very good knife, even considering the critics that I've said. So you may disagree with me, and I can totally accept critics, but I'd like to have some justified reasonings, you know. So any constructive comment or debate is welcome. So that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. Goodbye.